Good evening and welcome to ILFL Soccer Night on Monday the 4th of April 2016. It's wrap-up time and preparation for the summer and the pre-season competitions. There's so much going on. We went through so much last week and I think we're going to stay on that theme. We're going to deal with the results and our tables later on. I think we want to look at some of the upcoming projects, and the immediate thing that comes to attention is our Unity Cups. Yes, our annual Unity Cups. The actual owners of the Unity Cups, we are the guys that have been doing it for the last 3 years. This is the competition that you want to be in. Best teams from across the country really take part in this. Predominantly London teams being local, as it's held at the famous Hackney Marshes, but we have got the Unity Cups to deal with on the 17th of April. That's the Super Cup, the open age competition where 16 teams will battle it out to see who is going to be the Unity Cup Super Cup champion for this year. We've had it for the last 3 years, and I've got my usual pundits over to my left. We've got our beloved Stutzman on the far left, Nanu. Welcome, Nanu. We've got Rashid, the man that doesn't miss any of the games and will tell you every single controversy and every single super goal there is in this competition. And over to our right, we have Kamruz, our chairman of ILFL, and we have Ibrahim Tours with us, one of our sponsors and loyal sponsors for the last few years, who's going to tell us a bit about what they do in the community. So we will come on to that shortly. I want to start with the Super Cup because that's taking place on the 17th of April. For those of you that haven't seen all the advertisement out there, all the stuff on social media, this is the big competition. This is the one where you have one day to get yourself to the quarterfinals, to the semi-finals, play that and get yourself prepared up for a cup final at a very reputable venue. Rash, on the Super Cups, we've now obviously, as we mentioned last week in the show, we've filled up the 16 places, so we've got some top teams. But if I was to ask you just to go back a year and how the competition went last year, if you can just sort of give us a summary of that.
I think initially we thought of this idea because it's an opportunity to get teams from throughout the UK, as you mentioned before. It's about networking, get to know each other, and again, bring the unity back in the community. That was the ethos behind it, and it's been quite successful. And every year, obviously, we get a lot of new teams interested, etc., a lot of top teams. But it's a competition that everyone looks forward to each year, and hopefully it keeps growing. The reason why I kept it at 16 is we're trying to maintain quality and make sure the format's good, everyone enjoys and gets enough minutes. Therefore, this year, we're starting off with the league format, whereas in the last couple of years we actually done a straight knockout. We've seen that people travel from all throughout UK, they want more time, so this year we introduced the league format. So hopefully the teams will get more time to participate, and it should be more opportunity for other teams to progress into later stages. But it's a tournament which is growing. The quality is getting better and better each year, so I'm looking forward to it.
Hopefully, if we can bring up for you on the screen, you will see the 16 teams that are finalised in this competition. And whilst that's coming up for you on the screen, I think, Nanu, you have the teams in front of you, don't you? And I think you can probably give us a bit of commentary on some of the teams. So I always like to start with the champions or the runners-up. So the runners-up are there from last year, FC Bengals. But if you want to run through the 16 teams, and hopefully if it comes up on the screen, you can see who Nanu's talking about.
Okay, first of all, I'll just go through the list of the teams anyway. That's the full list. So we've got Abahoni, Ace, Aston Rangers, Baka. We've got Beaumont, Bromley, FC Bengals, Fish Island, which a lot of people probably haven't heard about them before. Hawk and Eagle, London Tigers, MK Galacticos, Reach Out, St Catherine's, Sile Shodor, Valence, and West End. Now, here are a few marquee names here. We're talking about Valence, West End, London Tigers, and MK Galacticos. We're also talking about Abahoni. Aston Rangers, I personally do not know much about that team, but what I've heard from social media and everywhere is that it's one of the teams that is to be reckoned with.
There it is on the screen for you. It took a few minutes to come, but there it is. Nanu, keep going for us.
Yeah, Baka is the other team that I personally am not aware of. But anyway, we've been hearing some good news about those teams. They've got some really strong players in there. And then we've got the regulars like Beaumont, Bromley, and London Tigers as well. We've got St Catherine's in there as well. One of the teams that I would really want to see play is Valence. They've kind of been absent in these tournaments, and maybe they've got something to prove to themselves. We're not interested in knowing everything about them. What we are interested in is to find out how well they play and how good they are. This competition is all about competitiveness. It's not for the faint-hearted or the fringe teams. You want the top quality teams in there, and all of the teams battling it out on a one-day tournament and see who the winner is.
I was going to add to that. It's great to see some of our own ILFL new teams that are in this competition as well. The likes of Fish Island, who are great guys, came on the studio and showed us some of their fish-based football kits. Then we've got our very own Reach Out, who did very well for us in the Champions Cup. Who else have we got there? That's one of ours. I mean, St. Catherine's are there as part of MK Galacticas as well. I mean, our interleague champions participants.
MK Galacticos have been working with us for a number of years now. You know, it's one of those teams that I actually quite admire. I have to say, they've got a very excellent setup. You know, and from them coming from all the way from Milton Keynes, you know, it shows a lot, you know, that they're quite committed in working with us and in getting, you know, involved in us and what we do as well. And it's one of those teams that, you know, in some of the other competitions, they've been so close, you know, but they've been up against like really strong teams, but they just couldn't get anywhere. But, you know, I mean, this is probably an opportunity for them, you know. I mean, it's a different flavour altogether. It's a league type system, you know. It's not knockout, as Rash explained earlier on, you know. The games are, you know, going to be 3 games per group, and then you progress to the quarterfinals, semi-finals, and
so, I mean, a thick and fast day, you know, end-to-end stuff.
End-to-end,
Cameron, I probably want to bring you into this because this Unity Cup, it started off as a really small competition, but now we're into the 4th year or third year, and you had an awful lot of interest, didn't you?
Yes, and it's growing by the year. I mean, I think for this competition we can probably go to 24, 30, 32 teams even, but like Rash said, you know, you want to keep it to a manageable level, but also you want to keep the quality and the interest high so that, you know, next year you get some new teams. And just to add to what Rash said, the whole ethos behind doing this is to bring the unity amongst the footballing communities within the country. Everyone does tournaments. You know, in London there are organisations that are doing tournaments every other week, and really there's no value to those. This we do once a year. Everybody knows, everybody got it diarised in their calendar, and as you can see, there's some big names there. There were a few tournaments in the past few weeks, and they've only had 9, 10, 12 teams attend. We've got 16 teams plus 4 more teams on the waiting list if anybody pulls out. We've got Aston Rangers, who are from Birmingham. They're a very excellent setup. They've played in tournaments throughout the country everywhere. They've won a lot of big tournaments, so we'll see what they bring with them. We've got Baka from Leeds. We've got MK Galacticos, obviously, from Milton Keynes. We've got Sileshadar, who are a fairly new setup, but you know they're predominantly play football in the veterans scene, but they're very keen and they want to challenge themselves in the Super Cup, so they've come in. And you know, we've got the favourites as well: Hawk and Eagle, London Tigers, Reach Out, Valence, West End. Valence is a local team that have been in our league previously, but they've been playing Saturday League for the past few years, so they now want to come back into the scene and play tournaments and hopefully maybe get involved with the league at some point in the future.
Brilliant. Well, there you have it, a rundown of the upcoming Champions Cup. I keep calling it the Champions Cup because it is full of champions at the end. So it's the upcoming Super Cup of the original Unities Cup. I think I need to sort of divert our attention and think, well, how do we actually, the effort is put in by all of these guys to get this tournament up and running. But I mean, when you got to get something done, there's nothing happening until you actually get support from it. And today we're very fortunate to have Ibrahim Tours with us. Malik Bey, welcome to the show. I mean, you've just heard about our Unity Cups, and no doubt, as one of our sponsors, you've been following us and the stuff that we're doing. I mean, how do you feel as a sponsor in sponsoring the projects that ILFL be doing? And I mean, do you feel you have chosen a good setup to be representing?
First of all, I'd like to thank Brother Kamruz for allowing me to sponsor the Inner London Football League, and I got to know him through Hajj, because I run a Hajj company, and he came with us with his mother, and it was 2011. So that's when I first heard about Inner London Football League. And what I liked about Inner London Football League is that the unity of the youths coming out there, using their time, valuable time in football, rather than going out in the streets, away from drugs, and it was really appealing to me.
And I suppose that also promotes the ethos of what you guys are doing in terms of wanting people to go on Hajj and going on that experience. And I suppose, do you feel it's our projects are something that goes hand in hand with what you're based on?
It does, and I'd just like to let you know that I'm also a driving instructor, and I've just had a learner who passed his test. He plays for semi-pro football team, and that's what I like about these youths. You know, they're football players. I've taught players who play for Tottenham, Arsenal, so I do meet a lot of youths under 21s. And that's what I like about the Inner London Football League, is that you don't just cater for the youths. So some of the older generation might think, they're talking about the youths only, so I don't fit in. So what I like about Brother Kamruz is you're catering for all age, from the age of 16 to 60, 65.
Have you been to some of our veterans games?
I have. I have.
What did you think of that?
No, it was really good. It was really good. It brings me back to memory of the 80s when we used to play.
And no doubt you've probably seen plenty of your friends that are taking part in that.
Yes.
Yeah. Cameron, just a minute before we go on break. I mean, sponsors like that, without them, I mean, where would ILFL be?
Absolutely right. I mean, the work that the volunteers of the committee that they do goes hand in hand with the support that the sponsors bring in. It's a triangle partnership really between the committee, the sponsors, and the members, the clubs that take part. And one thing that comes up again and again in our discussions is the unity and the strength that we have within that triangle. So yeah, and you know, thank you for sponsoring us, and long may it continue, inshallah.
Inshallah. Okay, well there you have it, sort of the ILFL more humble side, the community cohesion side. There you can see it is quite literally a triangle. We have the sponsors, we have the participants, and we have the voluntary members. And the voluntary isn't just amongst these, there's a whole band of people. Anyway, we have got so much more to talk about, and we can only do that in the next segment. So we're going to go for a quick break. Don't go away, because when you come back you're going to hear a bit more about the Unity Cups. We've also got the UK Bandy Championships, just to briefly mention, and then we've got to wrap up our season as it is. So don't go away, we'll be with you very shortly.